Welcome to Celebrating Act Two, where today John and I have the pleasure of the fifth in a series of Power Tools for Men.
This is a great series, Art. I'm really enjoying talking to the authors, Rick Bronick and Leonard Simchek. It's very enlightening, and it's all based on their book. They've been kind enough to allow us to kind of, synthesize the book. They have really addressed the idea that seems to be popular, I'm sorry to say, of toxic masculinity. And if you're a guy, I don't know too many guys who think masculinity is toxic. The real question is, what makes a real man? How do we become healthy and stay masculine in this world? And that's what their book addresses. It's wonderful. They did everybody a service. They break it down into an 8-letter. I don't know what you call that.
Acronym.
Acronym. Thank you. Classics. C.L.A.S.S.I.C.S. And of course, if you've been watching this video series, you know that we're up to the second S, which is, by the way, sexuality. So that's going to be fascinating. Now, before we bring them on, I just want to mention to everybody that the book, which is one of the things I really like about it, the book is a great read. It's got good stories about men sharing real incidents from their lives, but it's also got wisdom, great deal of wisdom, and it's got a lot of tools, which of course the name Power Tools for Men, tools with which you can become a healthy male, if you will. So we're up to sexuality. Let's meet Rick and Leonard. And guys, men talk about sex all the time, or think about sex all the time, but we don't really talk about it in depth, I guess is the right word. I'm trying to, we're honest about it sometimes, but we're not honest about it all the time, and we really don't. We kind of talk around the edges about sex. So this is fascinating. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see you. Tell us about number 5, sexuality for healthy masculinity.
Well, thank you, John and Art. I want to introduce my co-author, my amazing man, Leonard Simchek, who is rewriting this chapter even as we speak. And because he's gotten into a new relationship recently, and it's been really, really fun working with Leonard on this topic. We believe that only by declaring and demanding our basic rights, our rights for male sexual rights, we declare we can begin to have healthy and free male sexuality. We can truly be free. The truth is, John, as you said, men very rarely have honest communication about sexuality. Most of the time, we're bragging about our sexual conquests, or we're telling, horrible jokes about women, and that's really not what we're looking for here. We're looking for healthy, free male sexuality. David Data says you can open to God through sex by learning to open your heart and body while embracing and trusting these energies. You can be open to be lived by the mystery that lives the entire universe. That's a pretty big comment. And I'm going to turn it over to my good friend Leonard to tell a story about his own sexuality.
Well, thank you so much, Rick. And I want to thank you, Rick, for the viewers. I've learned so much watching just Rick navigate his relationship with Michelle, who's a sex coach, and it's given me a lot of inspiration as well. And I just want to share, I was in a Catholic seminary for 8 years, 4 years of high school and 4 years of college. And in those 8 years, there was one class on sexuality, and it was told by a priest. And he was very nervous. The sweat was pouring down his face while he was talking about sexuality. And I'm thinking, wow, as a man, as a male growing up, just one class on sexuality, and I'm supposed to learn this is what sexuality is about. Well, Rick and I, as we were reviewing, healthy sexuality, we wanted to open it up and realize that when we get to understand our sexuality healthily, in a healthy way, we really start learning about ourselves. And we put together a declaration of male sexual rights. And there's 8 of them that we'd like to go through. So, Rick, do you want to start off with the first one?
Yes, thank you, Leonard. We declare that men have the right to be inherently sexual, erotic beings who embrace our healthy sexuality no matter our age or orientation.
Yeah, and number 2, we believe it's important to feel safe in sexual relationships. Men don't often talk about anxiety in sexuality. All of us at some point or another has performance anxiety. Can we get it up? And we need to feel safe so we can actually share with a partner, I'm feeling anxious right now. I'm feeling exhausted right now. I'm tired, or I got too much on my mind. So, but we need to feel safe in a sexual relationship.
And number 3 is we have the right to connect our sexuality with our heart and with our soul, which makes sexuality sacred and profound. And I think that's the number one thing that men can work on to have healthier sexuality. What's next, Leonard?
Yeah, and then it's important for us to receive joy, aliveness, and connection from authentic sexual expression. It blows my mind. I work a lot with couples, and when I talk with couples about their own sex lives, it's amazing that often couples are not sharing authentically about what they like, what they enjoy, what they don't like, what they don't enjoy. And so part of it is to be able to authentically express ourselves so that we can begin to open up a greater understanding of who we are. And what's the next one, Rick?
Yeah, Leonard, I just want to add that I came out of a household where both my parents were rape survivors. So I got some very twisted messages about sexuality early on in my life. And it's taken a lot to untangle that. And these Declaration of Sexual Rights has helped in a great deal. Also, being in relationship with a sex coach has helped me tremendously. So that brings us to our 5th right, and that is men have the right to freely explore our own truths about our sexual expression, what turns us on, what is playful, fun, and erotic between consenting adults.
Well, and that takes us to number 6, is that we need other men with whom we can openly share and talk about our thoughts and feelings about sexual problems, pain, issues, passions. Often if we have a difficulty, I know there's been a lot of discussion now about erectile dysfunction and pills to help us correct the problem. That's really helped us liberate ourselves, open the door so we can talk more freely if we do have a problem. Unfortunately, men suffer alone. So if men have some sexual issues, we tend to keep it to ourselves, not talk until our partner ends up pushing us, nudging us to get some help. And so it's really important to have other men that we can share with about our joys and any problems that occur.
And that brings us to number 7, create a strong, heartfelt sexual connection with ourselves, which makes connection with our partners more fulfilling and resilient. This is a place where I had to do a lot of healing. And frankly, having masturbation practice was something that was very helpful for that. Learning what pleasures my own body allowed me to share with my partner what she could do to help me have a heartfelt sexual connection with her. And I could be open to hearing what she needed and wanted to have that same connection. It's very beautiful. It dramatically changed our sexuality as a couple.
And the last one, before going to the last one, often with males, our sexuality tends to be genitally focused, just focused on our genitals, where sexuality encompasses more than our genitals. My partner can say, wow, you have a really sexy neck or ears or nipples or whatever, but really we're encouraged to expand our sexuality, not just be genitally focused, that to really expand other parts of our body. And then having said that, we have a right also sometimes to be celibate or even asexual without feeling shame. There may be sometimes that, I'm just not into it. Just right now, for whatever reason, I'm just need to take a rest and don't want to feel pressure, or I feel exhausted or whatever. So that we have a right to not be sexual if that is something we want to choose. So we've kind of covered these 8 sexual rights, given you a taste. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more that we cover in our book, but we want to give you a taste of what healthy sexuality for men may be about. And Rick, I think you're going to lead us into a stretch.
Yeah, thank you, Leonard. As John pointed out, this book has a ton of practical exercises that you can do, in this case, with a partner, male or female, it doesn't matter. And one of those stretches for the sexuality chapter is, how can you bring love and fun into your bedroom? How do you make sexuality a place of fun and joy and connection and sacred at the same time? And if you can have that conversation with your partner and put into practice some of those things, your healthy sexuality is going to blossom.
Gentlemen, I have to tell you, I found this chapter particularly profound. You guys have covered, I think, every aspect of sexuality. Dare I say it, spiritual as well as physical and mental and every other thing you can think about. It's really a very powerful chapter, and it's one of the reasons why I think everybody should read this book. But it's only number 5 out of 8 of your major aspects of a healthy masculinity. And so as we go through the book, we're learning all these power tools we can use, like the 8 you just listed. But tell us what's next after the second S in classics.
So after this one on sexuality, we're going to be leaping into the I, which is intention. That's going to be our next power tool that we're going to be exploring.
And for our audience, in the description below on our YouTube video will be a link to the playlist, so that you can, if you want to either review a chapter you'd seen before, an episode you'd seen before, or want to watch this, if this is your first time seeing part of this 8-part series, go right to the playlist and you can just watch them, binge watch them, if you will, from 1 through 8.
Good. And I'm looking forward to our next episode. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
For more on Celebrating Act 2, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act 2 is the user manual for the second half of your life.